And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Prove It. It's easier said than done, with some really bad artwork on the cover. But hey, this is a game that that whole thing where you say, I can do this. Well, yeah, whatever, I can do this. All right, prove it. Now, most of the time, you can't prove it. Fortunately, in arguments today, we can prove them because of Wikipedia. You're like, I can name so many people from this movie. Well, yeah. Well, here, we can actually check your answer now, where it used to be kind of just braggadocio stuff. This game is a game where you are going to be doing things like, hey, can I throw this ball into this cup so many times in a row? And I don't think you can. Prove it. Or I can name 75 different flavors of ice cream. Fine, prove it. So let's take a look at how the game plays, and we'll be back. So in the middle of the table, you have a bunch of props. You have a cup, a bowl, a ring, a ball, a spinner, a timer, and a deck of Prove It cards. But those aren't the cards that you're actually using in the game. You are going to be taking these cards here. These are the task cards. And on your turn, you're going to take a task card and read it out loud. So maybe here, but how many of the words below you can recite from memory after viewing for only 15 seconds? All right, so then you spin the spinner, hopefully not off that. So you spin the spinner, and whatever player the spinner stops on, that person is going to be your rival. And then you're going to bet, for example, how many of those words. Well, first of all, you got to figure out how many words there are. This one's kind of broken because as you're like going back and forth, you can probably study and look at the card. So let's pick one that's not so broken. Place the card on top of the open cup and the ball on the cup. Slide the card out from under the ball so that the ball lands in the cup within 20 seconds. Here you accept or pass it, you or your rival. So maybe I can put the ball here, and look at that. That was pretty easy. Or maybe, for example, bet how many times you can jump up and down with the cup right side up on your head without it falling off. So you against your rival. I say, I think I can do it 3 times. They say 4. You keep going back until you say, prove it. They then have to do it. If they do it, they get the card, this card here. If they don't do it, I get it. But if I'm the one who said to do it and my opponent said prove it, then I have to do it. And if I do it correctly, I get it. And if not, they get the card. Sometimes you have a buddy system where you will each choose a buddy to help you. Here you will charade each of the movies below. Other players must guess them all in 40 seconds. Here's another mad skills. Bet how many times you can toss or bounce the ball into the hoop from a few feet away in 45 seconds. Here's know-how. How many U.S. holidays can you name in 20 seconds? How long will it take you to name all 9 fielding positions on a baseball team? So the know-how ones are kind of questions on things that you can do. Sometimes there's things that will deal with the different props. You've already seen things about the ball and the cup and the bowl and the ring and the spinner. Sometimes there's a timer involved, and you will keep track of things like that. Sometimes you use these Prove It cards, which have different colors and numbers on them. And this is how many cards are in the game. There's 85 of them. They're double-sided, so you have 170 different things. And they're all sorts of different tasks and stuff. And the first person to get 5 of them is the winner. Now, I do wish with a game of this type that they could put in more than 85 cards, especially if you have cards that ask questions, right? The tasks are fine because the same task can come up over and over again. But if you're asking, for example, how many U.S. presidents can you name or something, and out of 85 cards or 170 questions, if you play more than a few games, you're going to see these things over and over again. So someone who has played the game before will be better at it than someone else. And you can say, well, that's good, educational. Yeah. I don't think this game is trying to be educational. The concept of this game is fine. Hey, let's bet back and forth and prove it. There's a party game that I like a lot called 25 Words or Less, in which you had a bunch of clues and you had to get someone else to guess them, and you would bet on how few words you could do that in. And I like that concept. I like the concept of this game, but I don't like the game because mostly this game falls in the category of, hey, you should be silly. Oh, okay. I'd rather the game naturally make you silly than this one. And then also, maybe it's just me, but I'm not in the mood to get up and jump up and down with a cup on my head all the time and stuff. I don't mind party games, but this one just has you doing some inane stuff. And then the game has the whole, how many ice cream flavors can you name? All right, well, how many can I name? And there's people, oh, let me see. And then they're thinking in their head, and so you're like, all right, well, we're going to set this timer so that you need to guess it, because people are actually, let's say it's ice cream flavors. How many ice cream flavors can you name in 20 seconds? All right, I go 6. The other person's like, okay, hang on, let me think. Well, what do you mean, let me think? Because now you're going to drag the game out, and there could be some really boring downtime as the players back and forth slowly think how many different ice cream flavors they can name in 20 seconds, till the actual them naming it is kind of, So, I don't know. Some of the stuff in here is just ridiculously weird. The components are cheap garbage components, really. This cup and the bowl and the ball and all that. So this game doesn't have high quality. I know they're trying to sell it for a cheap price. My kids thought the game was okay. They had fun doing some of the stuff, but when I said, hey, let's do it again, they're like, and there was like zero replayability for them. They saw it, they were amused by it, and they went on. And I think that's how I am. I saw it. It was slightly amusing, but not enough that I would really recommend it. There's a lot of more fun party games out there. Prove It is not one that I would get. Dice Tower Judgment, pass.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Yeah?